All right, what's going on, y'all? So when you guys come on, let me know how you did this week in your trading. And if you're not taking trades yet, let me know how you did in your training. It's important that we review this as we're building our business, without a doubt. Buddha said that he has no losses, business as usual. Gary want to know, Gary, what pair are you trading? You trading the pound? Is that right? Let me see who else is over here. Pound. Okay, very good. Very good. I see Torre. What's up, Torre? And again, for any of you that are not trading, just talk about what specifically from training this week you took away from training. Indeed. This is important stuff. Oh, I also wanted to talk about consistency and scaling up. I think that scaling up is something that people, they have to work themselves into it for whatever reason, because there are so many emotional things that go on when you're looking at contract sizes and, larger account sizes. It's just like when you're seeing money in your account that is continuing to build up and become bigger. It does something psychologically. So I think it's important to discuss that. Let's talk about it. What's up, Arthur? as you should. Arthur said he was watching 301 just now when I came on. Yes, sir. It's funny because I had to cut it off so I could do this. Yep, I had to cut it off so I could do this. Right. Kip the Jab, what's up, man? JT, what up? So JT said he's 0-0 for the week. I think we talked about that earlier this week. We're going to say when we come on that we had no losses. All right? Instead of saying that we didn't take a trade, we're going to say that we didn't lose a trade. See, this is all of that is part of the psychological stuff that we got to do on ourselves as we move and as we navigate through this all, Arthur said, I took being patient and not being fast while watching the market. I'm following. Very good. That's a strong takeaway, because that taps right into probably the one thing that you need the most of, which is patience. The more patience that you develop, the easier it becomes to become disciplined. That's why they're so closely tied together. Patience and discipline go hand in hand. They're like the same thing. So without a doubt, I definitely understand and I can relate to that. What's up, Stacy? Yep. Yeah, so I like that. There we go. JT said no losses. See, it's important that you remember that instead of looking at the glass half empty, because I think that's when people don't get trades, it dismisses a little bit the actual process that you were doing. It almost seems like you wasn't doing anything if you didn't get a trade. So instead of having that dynamic flow through you, it's better to, on the contrary, instead of thinking in terms of, well, I didn't get a trade, you more so thinking in terms of, well, I executed the way that I should, and I didn't lose any trades at all. You know what I mean? So I think that that's the bigger takeaway from it all, and it's way more powerful, you know, without a doubt. So I think that that's why saying no losses is a better indication of what you actually did. You did execute, but you didn't see the opportunity to take a trade based on the times that you were on the chart, which means that you didn't lose any trade, which is the most important thing. Because by the time you end up in a trade, it's simply that. You're ending up being in a trade. It's not like you were looking to get into a trade. We're more so looking for reasons not to. So if we end up in a trade, we know that that's because the market literally handed us a trade. It just handed it over to us. So without a doubt. Jay Carly's in the building. Jay Carly said no L's, great week. See y'all tomorrow. Jay Carly, I saw that 21-day accomplishment, and that's hard right there. So you done got over that hump. I agree. It's as good as done. It is as good as done. They say it takes 21 days to create a habit, so I think it could probably be said it takes equally as much time to break a habit. So for that, I definitely congratulate and applaud you. And it went by fast, damn. Walker said, out of all them binaries I recorded, even the best didn't qualify to keep. So there couldn't have been tons of solid opportunities on the GU. Great week for observation. Indeed. That's another thing too that I'm very happy that we're doing more so now as a collective, is the recording. Because the recordings are so important for your development. Like when you're able to go back and look at the same exact binary that you were looking at in real time, but you're watching the playback of it, that is a learning lesson, and it's a teaching opportunity for you, because it's the same binary that you looked at with your own eyes in real time. When you go back and you watch the recording of it, now you're catching whatever you may have missed when you were looking at it during your actual observation. And that's a strong point to remember, because it means that if you miss something, it's giving you so much insight into what you might be missing overall, because that basically is what you're repeating. Whatever you might be missing will become obvious from you watching the playback of the recording to see what you missed in that one. So now you're actually pinpointing and putting a finger on what you're actually doing repeatedly that you may not even be aware that you're doing. That's why the videos are so important. They are important. You know what I mean? So without a doubt, the recording, all of that, powerful teaching. Kiplagat. He said 301 in the entire week. Strong, man. Hard. That's hard. Let me move up a little bit. I almost don't want to take that space. No, I'm gonna just stay right here. Let me just chill. What's up, Joel? What's up, Shawnee? What's going on, y'all? How'd y'all do this week? in trading, training, and etc. I see Daniel, I see Darren. What's going on? And another thing too, and I actually just mentioned this a few seconds ago, about the consistency. The consistency is what you're working for and really striving to be able to do. But consistency with the right behaviors. That's why it's so imperative during the training process that the repetition of the training is put at the forefront and is put on the pedestal. So what I mean is, if you notice, I don't really emphasize trying to dissect 301. I just emphasize listening to 301 on repeat, because what the repetition is doing is it's conditioning and working through you to wean you off of certain behaviors that you already have, that you can't do by yourself. It's like you don't necessarily know what you're doing yet until you actually start to get further and further into the training process. And what I mean by that is once you start observing the market more, like there's phases that you go through during the entire training process. Initially, when you first sign up, you first join the team, it's 301 on repeat. You don't really know that much. You're still trying to get a feel on how to navigate, the framework, what things mean. You're waiting for light bulbs to come on, all of that type of stuff. Now, as time goes by, what also happens is you begin to elevate. Now, you don't know that you're elevating each time that you re-listen to 301, but you are. So, because you repetitively are listening to and absorbing the same information over and over again, it's weaning you off of certain behaviors that you have that you're not even aware of yet. So, initially, when you're just listening to 301, even before you start to do anything, before you start observing the market, before you start paper trading, before you go into the demo, as you listen to 301, it's pushing certain things out of you and to the side, certain behaviors. One of the main ones is impatience. Like the repetition is strong. It does so much that you're not aware of, that it's worth me saying it over and over again. Like everyone says it. Hey man, 301 on repeat. And it's like, well, damn, why don't y'all ever talk about anything else? And it's because we don't need to talk about anything else. That's the key to you elevating and getting ultimately to where you want to be without having any additional pressure on you. Like you're not stressing yourself out during your training process. You're not sitting there wrecking your brain trying to figure out the parameters. You know what I mean? Like you're not focusing on the parameters. You're focusing on the entire process. And that's very important, because that's what's going to lead you to where you need to end up at in order to execute properly when the time comes. You know what I'm saying? So it's all preparing you. Like it's all preparation work more than anything that's going to bring you to where you're trying to end up being. And that's how it happens. I can't reiterate enough. The repetition of 301 is like magic. That's what it's like. It just does magical stuff to you. It's like it transforms you into another person when you do it. So, that's why when people begin to move and they start doing things, it comes as no surprise to me, because I know that you've been training. Certain questions that you ask, certain things that you are even bringing up, you wouldn't be able to bring it up had you not been training the whole time. So definitely, I reiterate that always and always will, because it's strong. It's hard. Shawnee said, Clean week for me, 0-0. Yep. Once again, no losses. Jelani, what's up, man? Justin, what's good? Yep. So, you know, again, like even to be able to say no losses, like even if you didn't take a trade, the thing about that, when you don't take trades, you know why you didn't take a trade. This is what I'm talking about as far as elevation. The fact that you know why you did not take any trades already has you on a whole nother level, because it means that subconsciously you might just, you know, want to see the market do certain things, and it just didn't do that when you were observing at the time. You know, you might want it to be at such an obvious level to you that it's like, there it is, boom, and you take the trade. So if you don't see that scenario play out, you just don't do anything, and that's fine. Like, it's okay. It's okay to do that, because again, you know why you're not taking trades. You know why you didn't take whatever opportunity that you may have thought that you've seen, or whatever, like whatever the case may be. You know the reason why. That's the most important thing. So I definitely cannot reiterate that enough, man. Like that's such a strong point with what it is that we do, without a doubt. What's up, Richard? Yeah, so if I missed any of you that came on, just mention briefly how you did this week in your trading and in your training, or in your trading. So if you didn't take any trades, or if you're not even trading yet and you're just in the training process, just talk briefly about what you did in training. Just briefly. Another thing too that I enjoyed this week in training was just slowing things down. Slowing things down is something that is very powerful, because the more that you slow everything down, the more that you give yourself the necessary time that you need. You know, so often people have a bad tendency to try to accelerate and speed things up. But in the process of you trying to make things go faster, you literally will do something to disrupt the efficiency of the process, which ultimately ends up slowing you down. So it's like you're trying to speed everything up, but what you're really doing is sabotaging what it is that you've been doing as far as being more efficient by slowing down the process. So it's very powerful when you slow things down, because what it means is that you're giving yourself the time, the space, you know, whatever it is that you need in order for things to come together as they should, versus you trying to make everything come together. There's a difference. When you try to accelerate and speed everything up, like, oh man, you know, it's taking me too long. I've been doing this for X amount of time. I should be here. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm very proud of the fact that I'm seeing so much less and less of that now. Like, this is something I used to have to always address, but I don't really see where I need to address it as often. Of course, I'm going to talk about it like I am right now, but the need for me to talk about it is not as present as it has been in the past. So that's another, you know, indication that the elevation is very, very high within the group. So I'm very proud of you guys, I must say, man. Jelani, 0-0 for the week. Got lots of training in. Very good. So once again, no losses. Yep, no losses. Trying to think about what I did specifically this week that was like my biggest takeaway. I think the biggest takeaway this week was a brief conversation, more so a dialogue that I had. I'm not sure. I think it was on one of the live streams, if I'm not mistaken. Peleus, what's up, man? Where I was talking about 1-0. And I was breaking down the numbers, for the projects. So in other words, whatever number that you throw in front of the project is ultimately going to be what your contract size goal is when you get to the end of it. So for example, if you're doing project 21, at the end of 21 trades, you would be at the 54 contract level. If you're doing the 24, you would be at 100 contracts. If you're doing 30, you would be at 300 contracts. And I want to reiterate the fact that you have to understand the same trade that you're taking with one contract is the same trade that you're taking with 300 contracts, 100 contracts, 54 contracts, 40 contracts, 25. Whatever the number is it's the same trade. So I'll give you an example, because I want to reiterate this so that you guys just further expand your ability to not be afraid as you move. Like there's no reason for you to be scared of anything. Don't be scared to scale up. Don't be scared to take the trade when it's there, when it comes. Just don't be scared, period. There's no need to be scared of larger contracts, of a bigger account. Don't be scared of it. It's the process. It's just 1-0 every time. So my point is this. Let's say you're doing project 21. That's going to take you to 54 contracts. At 54 contracts on a trade, you're making about $900. Okay? If you went from 21 trades to 24 trades, 3 more trades, just 3 more trades takes you from 21 to 24. And those 3 trades at that point in time takes you from 54 contracts to 100. Okay? So the same trade, that same 1-0, is bigger at 100 than it would be at 54, but it's the same trade. You understand what I'm saying? It's the same trade. It's even the same as far as the time frame that you're doing it in. So in other words, whenever the next trade comes for you, doesn't even make a difference. It's irrelevant. When you have your goal set, you just set your goal and you execute. You don't set your goal and think about the goal. Just like I just said, only 3 trades is taking you from 21 to 24. So just think about the first 3 trades that you ever took. You started with 1 contract. You took 3 trades. You might get up to right around where you're able to scale up to 2 contracts. But the same 3 trades from 21 to 24, you're going from 54 to 100 contracts. So you can see the value of the focus of the execution in the process. For the same work that you were doing at the beginning, you're doing the same work now as you're getting, closer towards your goal, whatever your goal is. And then once you get to your goal, now you're at a solid amount doing the same exact thing that you were doing from what you were doing in the beginning. There's no difference in the process. The same 1-0 that you were on the first trade is the same 1-0 when you at 100 contracts. Same 1-0 when you at 300 contracts. It's the same thing. So just really give yourself time to let that sink in, because it will help you to slow everything down so that you focus on process instead of focusing on the numbers. Like, you just stop focusing on the numbers completely. This is what happens. So as we redirect our focus, the intensity increases, and the result of it is increasing as well. So that's what I mean. Like, it's the same process that you were doing when you had one contract. Now, when you had 100 contracts, it's the same thing. Even the frame of mind and everything that you're doing is the same. It's all the same. So I really want to always reiterate that your focus should remain on training, because training conditions you to be the way that I'm describing. It's like being stoic, not being emotional about any of it. You're not even thinking about it. It's just like observation, execution. There's no trades, there's a trade. Whichever way it goes, your execution is the same. Your movements are the same. The conditioning of you getting to that level, that's what training does for you. It conditions you. You understand? This is what all of this repetition is for. All of this reinforcement, that's what it's for. To condition you. It's different when it's almost like once you learn something, you know it now. But when you keep reiterating and repeating what you're learning, you become it. You don't just know it. You become it now. And when you become it now, that means that you do it without thinking about doing it. The elevation is like it takes you up to another level, and it's almost like you become superhuman. Like a machine. And that's how your movements will be in the market as well. So, I just wanted to reiterate that, because that's a strong point. That's a very strong point. You got to remember that. You have to remember that, there's no need for you to be fearful or afraid. And I want you to work on your fears early. Like when you start with one contract, I want you to start working through your fears right away. Don't give the time to let your fear grow as the numbers grow. You want to do it in reverse. You want to train until you just don't feel nothing. It's almost like you're numb. You're not thinking about numbers. You're not thinking about the goal. You're not thinking about anything. It's just 1-0 on repeat. The same way as 301 on repeat, 1-0 becomes on repeat. One win. If you didn't take a trade, you 0-0. No losses. 0-0 is just as good as 1-0. So, that's how we're going to continue to move, man. And as we elevate, you guys will continue to see the growth in the group, the consistency in the group, the fearlessness in the group, just not thinking about anything that doesn't matter. Because when it's all said and done, when you execute process, the market is so beautiful that it either gives it to us or it doesn't. That's how great the market is. It either gives it up or it don't. You see what I'm saying? It's not you there trying to figure out what's going on. You know what's going on because you train. Your training conditions you to be exactly who you should be when it comes time to execute. Now it's up to the market to decide when. If the market is saying, you know what, I think I'll be generous today, you'll see the obvious trade waiting for you. If the market is like, nah, I don't feel like doing none of that today, I feel like wilding out, you'll see that also. What do? Nothing. Because market basically instructed you not to do anything. And that's how we move. Just like that. So I wanted to reiterate that, man. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Right. There's only two options. And they're really both the same option. And it's exactly what Matthew just said. We either win or we don't lose. And they're really the same thing. They're just both sides of the spectrum, so to speak. Because if the market doesn't make a trade obvious, we're not losing anything because we're not taking anything. If the market does make it obvious, we're going to win that trade. Those are two options. We either win or we don't lose. Period. 1-0. Forever. That's how we moving, man. That's how we moving. I thought I just saw, oh yeah, there she goes. What's up, Adele? Oh, you was in the watch party first, then you came over to the page. Yeah, so you should, I think that you're directly on there now, so you should see everybody on there with comments. So Adele, how'd you do this week? I know I don't have to ask how you did with training because that's going to be a given. And what's up, Jeffrey? Oh, you was lonely in the watch party? Adele says she 0-0. So no losses once again. Very good. Very good. See, so, you know, I mean, that's all I ever want to hear. I see that. You said it just like you wrote it. I see that. Yeah, I'm still working on that the live from yesterday, trying to get them songs off of there so it won't be blocked no more. I'm almost there though. Thanks to your man Jay-Z. Anytime I play a Jay-Z song, it gets blocked. So basically, it's always Jay-Z's fault. I thought it might have been Michael Jackson, but nah, it was Jay again. So thank you, Jigga. Yeah, but all right, Winston, he said 3-0. But 1-0 is my mental. Very good. Right. So you 1-0 3 times this week. Very good. Very good. Yeah, that live was on fire yesterday. It definitely was. That was nice. That was nice. Thought I saw Jose just now. Jose, what up? And I thought I saw Joel. What's up, Joel, if you're still there? But Jose, how'd you do this week? And also Joel, how did you do this week? And your training and or your trading? I'm from New York. Yeah, it definitely is. Winston said it's crazy, but you make sense to me about not being afraid or making it 1-0 forever, because it makes perfect sense, man. It makes perfect sense. It's the only way that you can be consistent. Like, that's what it is. Like, just think about even in sports when somebody dominates, like, you know, a player or a team dominates. When that individual or that team dominates, if you look at their process is the same at the micro level. So it's not that they have the best season. The reason that they end up with the best season is because they're having the best games. At game time, they putting the work in. They're not thinking about the next game. They're not like, oh, well, next week we got the Bulls. Oh man, next week we got to play, the Golden State Warriors, man. Damn. They're like, we don't give a shit who we playing. What time is the game? This is how the championship team thinks. What time is the game? All right, we'll be ready. In other words, what time is the next game? Not when do we play the Lakers or Golden State. They're not thinking that far into the future. They don't even care. You understand? That's the dynamic that I'm talking about. So that the focus and intensity is on your process now. Now, what are we doing today? Who we play today? What time does the game start? You see what I'm saying? So that way you show up prepared. You're not thinking about nothing else. You ain't thinking about next week. You ain't thinking about the last week. You're not thinking about the fact that you done beat everybody that you played so far in today's game. You see what I'm saying? You don't approach today's game like, yo, man, we the best, so we're going to win this. No. You're the best because you're not thinking about trying to be the best. You're the best because your execution is the best at all times. In other words, your focus on right now is what it needs to be. You're not even thinking about nothing else. Now it becomes rinse and repeat. And that's how we elevate. That's why when you get to that level, your execution proves that the results show up after the process has been executed. It's not the other way around. You don't get results first. You have the results that you do because of the process. So we're going to focus on the process, and that's it. We're not even going to think about nothing else. Oh, well, Mark, what happens when you get to 100 contracts? Are you going to be getting fills? You don't need to be thinking about that. Just think about 1-0 forever. That way, when you get to 100 contracts, you tell me. Right? And that's how we moving. Joel said, training been great. Thanks to all the help. Much appreciated. Definitely. I know Joel is trading, I think the Aussie, right? I think you trade in the Aussie. I'm not going to single you out, but for any of you that are in any of the markets, really, more recording, if you can do that, more recording, and if you're more engaged in the group and in the chat, when you record and post it in the group and have ask a question, was this MRMH, or how did this one look to you guys? We can give more feedback, and we can also learn and elevate ourselves through that process. That's why the recordings are so important. I'm going to continue to reiterate the importance of the recordings. They are such a help. Like, they're a huge help. Shani said, waiting on the market to be generous. I've been 0-0 the last 2 weeks. Controlling my hunger has been harder than what the market has been doing. Right. And that's important too. Just maintaining the self-control, that's part of the process. Again. Yep. Keeping the juice man far away. Winston, I ain't playing small dollar anymore. It's 1-0 forever, and if the market ain't gonna give it up, fuck it, just wait. It's there for us. Facts. Walker, become the best from being obsessed with the process. And yes, that all rhymed. Adele, you need to have a note with the tiger that says that, so people will remember. Oh, for what Walker just said? I did like that. That was hard. Yep, definitely did like that one. I'm seeing Jose said no losses. Very good. Very good. Oh, to record. Yes. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes. All right. Adele, remind me to ask Jay Carly to make that for me. Please remind me to do that. That's a very good idea. Very good. Very good. Excellent. I don't know what that was. I know. Oh, man. Yes, that's it. Exactly. Exactly. That's why I'm Yoda. All right, so very good, man. Very good. Very, very good. So I'm looking forward to next week. As in tomorrow. Yeah, Facebook be hating. YouTube be hating. All of them be hating, man. They don't really be hating. I just say that. They don't even know what the hell we doing. They have no idea what we even talking about. They don't care. Nah, but yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow and this upcoming week. It's just really just more of the same. Like it's literally rinsing and repeating over and over again. That's all it is that we do. So, you know, it's pretty amazing stuff that's actually going on. Just the fact that we can continuously do what it is that we're doing over and over again. And all it really takes is just the consistency of, you know, you training and just the repetition. The repetition is it. That's how you get there. You know, I know that people, they wonder, or they trying to figure out, man, I'm not sure how. You know, how are you guys doing this? How are you able to do that? That's how we do it. It's the repetition. That's the key. That literally is the key. So just want to reiterate that. Matthew said, here's a question. If you didn't get filled on every 100 contract trade, would you still do it? Just asking folks in general. Right. Very good question. Very good question. That helps to put things in perspective. It surely does. Let me move back for this person. Come on, man. You way too close to me, bro. Very good question. If you didn't get filled on every 100 contract trade, would you still do it? Yep. So that's a good mic drop right there. Very good. Yep, so y'all ponder on that. I will check you guys on training on tomorrow night, Sunday night. And I'll see you guys back in the group chat at some point, I'm sure. Everybody have an awesome rest of your weekend. Deuces. Recap out. All right, y'all.